Well, folks, here we again for the weekly forecast. Before we get to the main forecast, let's take a retrospective look over this last week. And of course, the biggest news of this entire period was the system that came through on the day on Tuesday. Really, all we've seen was some light snowfall accumulations across the northern part of the state. As that system moved toward the southeast, it lost a lot of its punch, and by the time it made it into east central southeast Nebraska, we've seen a brief period of snow. Basically nothing but more than trace amounts on the surfaces, and then the system quickly dissipated as it moved toward the southeast. Total water out of this system, about the best I've seen was 1/10 of an inch of liquid equivalent across the northern part of the state. More of east central and southeast Nebraska. Trace to 3/100ths of an inch was very, very common. So once again, we didn't get a lot of moisture. Now as we go through this next 7-day period, we got 2 more systems to deal with, but once again, they look to be very moisture starved. So let's take a look at the upper air pattern and see what we have in store as we go through this next 7-day period. First thing we'll draw your attention to is there's a trough to our west that's going to slide to the south of Nebraska. We'll catch a little bit of energy from the northwest flow with the system over the Great Lakes. That will probably generate some light precipitation across the northern part of the state as we go into this evening, and that'll carry through into southeast Nebraska through tomorrow morning. Right now we're looking at less than an inch of accumulation in most locations. Might see an isolated 2-inch mark if we can get some snowfall generated, and then it'll become more of a rain-snow mixture as it moves toward the southeast, and then once again totals are going to be very light. Now as we go into Sunday, we'll start to build some warmer air into the western part of the state. We'll stay a little bit cooler than normal across the eastern part of the state as we draw this northwest flow, but by the time we get into Monday, we'll start to see that ridge building even farther to the north. Everybody should have a well above normal day in terms of temperatures, but right again, we have another system that's going to come sliding toward the southeast Monday night into Tuesday, bringing a shot of snowfall, particularly across north central, northeast Nebraska, primarily looking at less than an inch of accumulation, and lesser amounts as you move toward the south and southeast of this system. Basically just trace amounts are expected. So here we go on Tuesday, the system passes to our east. Once again, we get ridging pattern building up to the west, bringing warmer air into the south and western part of the state. So it looks to be a fairly comfortable day on Tuesday, although slightly below normal. But more importantly, we'll start to see that ridge build into the entire state, where we'll finally return to above normal conditions statewide. And we have another system that's going to move through the southern plains and just clips Kansas and maybe just slightly the southern part of the state, but precipitation with this looks to be almost virtually non-existent. So here we go on Thursday, the system moves through Kansas, another trough digs into the Pacific Northwest, looks to be a little bit more significant. By the time we get to Friday, it digs down into the southwest, really pumps a big fetch of warm air into our region. We could be looking at temperatures breaking the 80-degree mark across southwest Nebraska, but 70s consistent across a good portion of the state. So if we take a look at the temperatures as they run out through this week, you'll notice that we'll see a cool down as we get into Sunday, brief warm up on Monday, once again cool on Tuesday, and then a slow warm up as the week progresses. And in terms of the 8 to 14-day forecast next Tuesday through the following Tuesday, cold air starts to settle into our region, and in terms of precipitation, an increase in precipitation across the northern and the southern plains.